All right. I wanted to tell you about the time I was a caregiver. Most of you know that before I started my YouTube channel, I was a caregiver. For those of you that don't know, that's what I did before I started my channel. I absolutely loved it. I've always loved the elderly. They're so cute to me. And I've just always had, like, even when I was a little girl, you know, I just loved them. So we moved here to El Paso. I was looking for jobs, you know. I worked in nursing homes. I worked in one actually when I was in high school as well. So I was looking for jobs and I found caregiver. I was like, oh yes, clicked on it. And then I read the, you know, the information, description and all that. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. So I applied online, and then they also required you to go in their office and fill out application in person. So I did. Instantly got hired. I'm gonna make this long story short because yeah. I worked there for 2 years. The whole 2 years was a really, really great experience for me. I loved it. My boss came up to me one day, and this was probably about 3 months into me working there. And she goes, can you come to my office? I want to talk to you. I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, God, am I in trouble? So she pulled me in the office and she said to me, I want to talk to you about a certain client that we have here and we've been working with for a while. I said, okay. She's like, her name is so-and-so. She is 89. She's 89 years old. Her husband was a very well-respected general when he passed in the army here. They were very well off. And my boss was telling me about her. And she also said, I want to know if you'd be willing and interested to take her on permanently. I kind of looked at her and I was like, well, yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. No problem. I kind of looked at her and I kind of chuckled and I said, is there a catch here? She started laughing and she goes, yeah, actually there kind of is. And I said, I had a feeling. So she said that she's a little mean. In fact, she's very mean. Nobody is willing to work with her. She said, I had all of my employees so far to date work with her, challenge her, take her on, do some shifts with her. They all quit. They all came up to me and said they couldn't do it. She's like, if I put you on with her and you go and then you come back and tell me that you just can't do it, I totally understand because all my girls have quit. And I was like, really? She goes, yeah. So she goes, you're my last option. You're my last chance. And so I want you to start working with her tomorrow. And you let me know as soon as the shift is over how it went. And if you don't ever want to go back, I understand. The next day, I go to her house. Beautiful, humongous mansion of a house. Just beautiful. I was like, wow, So I walk up to the door. I ring the doorbell. And I'm like, come on. She's 89 years old. For God's sake, how mean can she be? Like, really? So I was thinking maybe these girls are just like, ultra sensitive and, whatever. So I'm like, I got this. I walk. She opens the door. There's this black screen. It's so black you can barely see through it. But I saw her silhouette. She opened the front door and there's this black screen. And she opened the door and she's just looking at me. She didn't say a word to me. And I said, hi, Miss So-and-so. My name is Kristen and I will be your caregiver for today. I said, how are you? She just looked at me probably for like 10 seconds. We were just like looking at each other, awkward. And I was about to say something else, but then she finally unlocked the screen door and she opened it. She pushes it open, like that much. She just kind of like pushed it open. And she turns off and walks away. So I opened it more and we wore necklace tags. Like it was a thick necklace and then like to your maybe navel belly button was your picture, your name, and your information, caregiver for so-and-so company. Like I said, her husband passed, so she was living alone. So that's why she needed a caregiver. And her family, they couldn't do it, because they were all working busy, so no one could really look after her. So that's why her family hired our company. She didn't have Alzheimer's or dementia or anything like that. My boss even said she was in fairly good health for being 89 years old. She just needed to be, babysat, basically. Make sure nothing bad happens to her. So my boss is like, she's fairly independent. I said, okay. She's, giving me information about her. I walk in and her house was beautiful. And she's standing there and she's glaring at me. Hi, Miss So-and-so. I said, I'm not sure if you if you heard me through the screen, but I'm Kristen and I'll be caring for you today. And she looks at me and she goes, I can clearly see your name is Kristen. I see it on your neck tag. I was like, oh yeah. She started walking off and I said, ma'am, Miss So-and-so, where should I put my purse and my bag? Because, we had a bag with us as well. She turns around and gives me like the most go to hell look. And she goes, I don't care where you put it. I said, okay. So She walks off into the kitchen. Excuse me, when you walk in the front door, you immediately see a wall of windows, right? Because it goes straight to her living room. Wall of windows. And through the windows was her backyard, back porch. Huge, beautiful pool. So I follow her. She goes into the kitchen area. I'm following her. I see a bench, like, you know, like a nice bench in her kitchen, because there's kind of like a sitting room off the kitchen. So there was like this bench. So I'm like, okay, I think that's okay to put my purse and bag there. So that's what I did. She bypasses the kitchen and she goes straight to her back porch, like a screened-in porch. And she sits on the patio furniture out there. And I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm like, so I went and got the login book. You have to log in your time, you know, your shift when you got there, information about the patient, information about the client. So I saw the logbook and I'm like, okay. So I'm starting to fill in the information to the logbook. And I'm, you know, as I'm filling it in, I'm looking up at her, checking on her. And she's just sitting on the bench, just staring off in the distance. It probably took me like maybe 15 minutes to fill in what I needed to fill in. I go out there. I didn't know what to expect, you know, because my boss told me she is hateful. So I was like contemplating, like, should I just sit in the kitchen and, you know, just look up and check on her? Or should I go out there? If I go out there, she might yell at me. She's probably lonely, you know. Maybe that's why she's a little mean, because she's lonely. So I said to myself, I'm going to go out there. I opened her screen porch to the back porch. This woman didn't look at you. She glared at you. So there was a couple of chairs. She was on the bench, and there was a couple of chairs across from her. So I go out there, and she looks up at me, and I give her a really sweet smile, you know. She's glaring at me. Just like that. So I sit down. Literally, I sat there with her. I think it was an hour and a half. I think like the first 15 minutes, she was just staring off. Her legs were crossed and she's just sitting there and she's just watching, you know, the birds or, you know, like the weather, the wind blowing through the trees and stuff. And she was not saying a word. She was just watching, just sitting there. I tried to strike up a conversation with her. So I'm like, Miss So-and-so, I said, is this your favorite place to sit out here? She wouldn't even look at me. Acted like she didn't even hear me. I asked her a couple of other questions. What's your favorite time of year? Like, is this why you like to sit out here? Because this was during the summer. I said, is it so warm? I was laid, before I tell you, this big around. She probably weighed about under 100 pounds. Teeny tiny, but full of piss and vinegar. That is for damn sure. She was so tiny, teeny tiny. She never even acknowledged me or looked at me. After the second question, I was told by my boss, you know, in the company, 11:30 is lunchtime. So, you know, you want to start making their lunch for them. Another hour goes by. I asked her 2 questions and she wouldn't even acknowledge me. So literally, I sat there and I was just watching, you know, the weather with her and stuff. And I was just like, oh my, is this going to be the whole 8 hours I have to do this? So I asked her a third question and I said, Miss So-and-so, I said, do you have any children? She looked at me but didn't say a word. She's just staring at me, glaring at me. And I said, I do. So I was just asking if you did. I said, I have 6 children. And then she goes, you have 6 children? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. And she goes, what? Didn't they have TV back then? And then she just kind of like, you know, turned off and like kept watching the weather. Like my uncle says, don't watch me, watch the weather. I kind of chuckled and I said, actually, yes, we had TV, but I knew what she meant. Another 5 minutes goes by and I said, you didn't answer my question, Miss So-and-so. I said, do you have any children? And then she looked at me and she goes, yes, I do. I have one son, but he passed away. And then she kind of like just turned her head. I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that. I said, you're a very strong woman. I can't imagine the pain, you know, and anguish that you went through, and I'm very sorry for that. And she looks at me and she goes, yeah, he died of cancer. I said, well, I'm very sorry, Miss So-and-so. So then I was like, oh God, I gotta lighten the mood up here. Maybe I shouldn't have asked her if she had kids. That's terrible. So then I said, you like watching nature? I said, because I noticed that, you know, you've been doing it since the whole time we've been out here. And she looked at me and she goes, yes, I do. And I was like, I do too. You know, no matter how ugly she was, I was still, you know, of course, gonna be nice. My boss told me that, you know, we're allowed to have our phones. She goes, because I know the shifts can get very boring. Sometimes the clients won't talk to you. They don't need anything. So you're literally just going to sit there and stare at 4 walls, or you're going to sit outside with them and do nothing. So she allowed us to be on our phones, but not talking. She said you can browse through your phones or text or whatever, but you're not allowed to talk on your phone during your shift. Because I was literally out there for like 3 hours doing nothing but staring at the wind with her and the birds. I got up and I said, "Excuse me, Miss So-and-so, I'll be right back." And then she just looked at me and like turned like she didn't say, she was out of them. I went and I was like, I can't do this another second. I have to have my phone. I have to look at something or, whatever. I went in the kitchen, went in my purse, got my phone, went back out there. I realized when I checked my phone what time it was. I said, let's just call her Miss C, because saying Miss So-and-so is so annoying. ABC, whatever. Miss C. So I said, as soon as I saw the time on my phone, I said, "Miss C," I said, "it's lunchtime." I said, "Are you hungry? I'm going to go make you some lunch. You let me know whatever you want. I'll make it for you." She looked at me, glared at me, and turned her head. Then she turned her body towards me, like shifted her body, like having her back to me. I said, "Miss C, are you hungry?" Nothing. Ignore me. I said, "We are allowed to go pick you up something if you want like fast food or something from like a restaurant. I can order something for you, or I can make something for you. Whatever you want." Nothing. I was trying to be funny, I'm like, "Miss C, if you're worried about if I cook something for you, it's going to taste gross. I promise you it's not. I cook really good." I said, "I'm a mother of 6. I've been cooking for many years." And still nothing. I'm kind of like laughing to myself. So then I stood up and I walked over to her, so she had to look at me. And I said, "I'm going to go in there and make you lunch. It's lunchtime and this is my job and I have to make you lunch. So if you don't tell me what you would like, I'll just go make you something that I think you would like." So she's just glaring at me, just like that. And in our logbook, there's information about the client, what they like to do, what they like to eat, all that stuff. I said, "It's okay. You don't have to answer me. You don't have to talk to me. I'm going to go look in the logbook. I'm going to go see what you normally like to eat, and I will go make it for you." I said, "I'll be right back, okay? You don't have to move. I'll go do everything for you." So I walked away, and I was going towards the screen door to open it, to go in the house. I opened the screen door, and I turn around to look at her, right? And she's literally standing there. I was like, I said, "Oh, you scared me." And then she goes, "Not all of us have to eat all the time. Not everybody's chubby like you." And she looked up and down at me when she said that. And I was like, and so she opened the screen and she gave me the bitch go to hell look. And then she walked in the house. I could see her through the windows. She went into the kitchen and she started making herself lunch. And I'm literally still standing there and I'm like, oh no, she didn't. So I'm like, that's it. So I walk in there and I go in the kitchen and she started making herself a sandwich, getting sandwich stuff out. I looked at her and I said, "Miss C," I said, "that was very rude. That was a rude comment and that hurt my feelings." It really didn't. You guys know me. But I, wanted to see if she would respond. She just glared at me again and then she looked down and she started making her sandwich. She didn't say anything. I said, "Can I help you with that? I can really make this sandwich for you. You don't have to do it. I want you to sit down and relax and let me do it." So she's like, "I'm very capable of doing things for myself and I don't even know why you people are here every day." And I said, "Well, we're here to help." And she's like, "I don't need any help." This is the most words she's said to me in 4 hours since I've been there. I said, "You may not need help or think you don't need help, but I'm sure you're tired and it's not easy for you. And so that's why I'm here to help you. I can do things for you." She's livid. She started raising her voice. She's like, "My family hires you people with this company. And I told them I don't need anybody. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself." She's like, "Most of you just come in here and try and take over and do this and do that." And she was going on a rant. And I'm just sitting there listening to her. I'm like, I wasn't saying anything. And I said, okay, I understand. I said, "Okay, I will just sit here. I'm going to read my magazine," because I brought magazines because my boss told me I want to bring something to read too. So I had Food Network magazines. Love them. Recipes and stuff like that. And so I'm sitting there and I'm reading the magazine. And she's making her own lunch. 89 years old. This woman moves faster than I do. Really. She's all over the kitchen. I was like, damn. So while she's making her lunch, I said, and Miss C, I said, "Can I use your bathroom? Can you tell me where your bathroom is?" And she's just glaring at me. And she goes, "It's behind you to the right." And she goes, "And when you're done, put the toilet lid down, please." I said, "Okay, no problem, sure." Went to the bathroom, came out, and she was already, I totally forgot what she said about leaving the closing the toilet seat down. Because I'm sitting there, you know, going to the bathroom, and I'm like thinking, oh God, pull it together, you know, what can I say to her? You know, maybe make her laugh or get her involved in a conversation that maybe she, you know, would be interested in. So I'm thinking of all these things. So I totally forgot that she said to put the toilet lid down when I'm done. Washed my hands, came out of the bathroom. She was already done making her lunch and she was already on the back patio eating it. Our company, you know, the policy is when it's the client's lunchtime, they really enjoy when you eat with them also. So bring your lunch. When they start eating, you eat with them. It makes them feel more comfortable. I really don't eat breakfast and I really hardly ever eat lunch. I was mostly a dinner eater. I told my boss, I said, I don't eat lunch or dinner. I just eat dinner. And she goes, okay, that's fine. That's fine. She goes, you don't have to, but you know, sometimes they like that. I never brought my lunch or anything. I just went 8 hours without eating and then I went home and ate. I'll go back out there with her. She made herself a ham sandwich, cut it in half with those Lay's cheddar cheese chips. Teeny tiny, like maybe 3 or 4. Teeny handful, a sandwich cut in half, and one of those white chocolate macadamia nut cookies cut in half. That's what this woman ate every single day. Once a day, that was it. I work out there. And I don't want to like stare at her eating, you know, because like that's rude, uncomfortable. So I brought my magazine out there. And she's sitting there eating and I'm just like looking down, you know, and like reading my recipe, Food Network magazine. And she looks up at me and she goes, oh, is that a food magazine? Well, no wonder you're chubby. I was like thinking in my head, this woman's gonna start pushing my buttons. Of course I wasn't chubby, I wasn't fat. But she would say that to every caregiver. Didn't matter their size. It didn't matter if they were tiny or huge. She would always call them fat or fatty or chubby. When she said it to me, I busted out laughing. Like, I started laughing. I said, yes, I love food. I love recipes and I have a large family. So I'm always, you know, looking up recipes. I said, do you watch a lot of TV? Have you ever watched the Food Network? She goes, I don't watch TV. And she rolled her eyes a lot. I was like, oh. I said, well, these magazines are from the Food Network. It's a really good station. It teaches you how to cook. She goes, well, I can tell you know how to cook. And I was like, yes, I do. You're exactly correct. I do. I know how to cook. Bitch, say it one more time. I'm just kidding. Laughing to myself. She eats her lunch. I'm still, you know, looking at my magazine. Then she puts her plate down. She had everything. But I mean, it was a tiny portion of food. She pushes like the plate away, you know, and she's just sitting there. And I said, Miss C, can I take that to the kitchen for you and wash it for you and put it up? She looked at me. She goes, no, you may not. Nobody touches my kitchen dishes because I'm very particular about them. I will do it myself. I said, okay. So I go back to my magazine. I'm like, okay, find a happy place. So she gets up, she gets her dishes. I get up, I follow her. I'm standing there watching her. And she goes, why are you just standing there watching me? And why are you following me? I'm not kidding. This is how she talked, with a very, very snobbish attitude and like just like that. I said, Miss C, I have to follow you. I have to watch over you. I don't want you to have an accident. I don't want you to have a fall. And if you need me, I will always be right here to help you. And she goes, like I said before, I don't need any help. I'm very independent. I always have been, and I will be until I'm gone off this planet. I see that. I was like, I told her, I said, I see that. I'm very impressed. She looked at me like that was an insult. You know, because she's so old. So that was like, I meant it as one, but she didn't take it as a compliment. So as she's washing her dishes and putting them up, I get up and I go walk into the living room, right? Because I'm just like looking around. I see a painting on the wall. And I said, Miss C, I said, did you paint this? She literally dropped her dishwashing. She came right into the living room. And it was like, in her profile, no mental disorders, no nothing. She was just completely normal, completely healthy. For 89 years old, the doctor said she was in extremely good health. No mental issues in her past or present, nothing. Just a bitch. She was. But anyways, so she comes walking in there and she has like her, you know, kitchen towel in her hand. She's drying her hands like this. And she goes, yes, I actually did paint that. Totally different persona about her. And I was like, oh, thank God. So I said, that's gorgeous. That's so beautiful. My God. I said, do you have more I can see? And she goes, oh, yes, I do. Like her voice went so sweet. And I was like, Lord, thank you, Lord. She devil. So then we spent a good 45 minutes going throughout her whole house. She was showing me paintings, her paintings. They were really good too. Really, really good. Yeah, she was really, really proud of them, and it put her in a good mood that I was interested, in them. So I was like, thank you, Lord. She's not gonna try and shaft me with something. After about the 45 minutes, she finally said, well, that's it. That's the last one I have. I said, they're gorgeous. I said, did you ever sell them? She goes, oh, no. It was just a hobby of mine. I gave them to family members, but I never charged them. I said, these are so beautiful. I said, you probably should have thought about selling some because, I'm sure sharing your beautiful paintings with the world would have been really nice. And I'm sure people would appreciate it. She was like, yeah, I probably should have, but I didn't. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be nice to me now. Thank you, Lord. She's ahead of me, and we're walking back to the kitchen. She still had her dish rag, and she needed to go finish her dishes. Then as we're passing by, like off from the living room was like this dining area, right? And I see on one of these little glass round tables, like they were very well off. There's like a wet bar. There was every liquor you can think of was in that wet bar. And there was one of those, those fancy glass, I don't even know what you call them. They have a glass knob that you just pop off and then you pour, the liquor into whoever's glasses, if you're having a party or a gathering, whatever. So she had a huge one there. It had like this much liquor on the bottom. So I'm like, this woman a little lushy, a little granny lushy. So I said, Miss C, I said, did you and your husband drink? She goes, drink what? I said, liquor. I noticed you have a fully stocked liquor bar. Very nice. A liquor container, whatever. I don't even know what the hell it's called. I said, I can see it's almost empty. I said, me and my husband, like to partake in drinking liquor sometime too as well. She walks over to me. She doesn't just walk over to me. She is fast walking over to me. She gets in my face. She's like this. And she was like, me and my husband don't drink. We're not drinkers. We would never do that. And I don't appreciate you accusing me of being an alcoholic. And as she was talking and like screaming, she was screaming in my face. And she had the lungs of a teenager screaming in my face, you guys. And I was kind of like backing up, and then she just like glared at me again and turned around and like finished washing her dishes. So I go in there, I follow her, and I'm like, Missy, I'm very sorry to offend you. I did not mean anything by that. I just saw that and I was just very curious. And she goes, me and my husband had parties and gatherings almost every weekend. He was a general, okay? So we always had parties and gatherings. So that was for our guests. Me and my husband didn't drink. And she goes, also alcohol is very fattening. So I could tell that you always eat and you always drink liquor. I'm like, that's it. That's it. Last straw, bitch. So I said, I sat down at her island, but she was still like, I could tell she had OCD issues, like washing her dishes, because she was washing them over and over. It was just a little plate. She was washing it over and over again. And so I sat down at her island, and it was like, right behind her. I said, Miss C, can I ask you a question? She didn't answer me, of course. I said, what do you think I'm here? Kept washing her dishes, wouldn't turn around, wouldn't look at me. I said, I'm not here for a paycheck, clearly. I'm not here because I have nothing else to do and I'm bored. I'm not here because I don't have a life outside of your home right now. I'm not here because I'm forced to be here. I am here because I care. I care about helping people, and I love to do it, and it's a passion of mine. And all I'm doing here is trying to take care of you, love you, help you, do anything for you, and you're really being hateful to me right now. You have, you've talked about my weight several times. You've screamed in my face. You're being very defiant. And you're not letting me do my job. I'd really appreciate it if you could start being a little loving, caring, and nice to me, please. That's all I ask. She turns around and she said, oh, am I hurting your feelings? She goes, well, I'm not going to be nice, caring, or loving, or act like I give a damn about you people here because I don't want you here. My family has you guys here and I can do nothing about it. So until you guys leave me alone and don't come into my house, I'm going to be this way. And she goes, and I'm going to go out. I'm done washing my dishes now. And I'm going to go out to the porch and sit there because you literally have 15 minutes till your shift's over and then you can exit my house. And she goes out to the back porch and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, 15 minutes. And I run and I grab my phone and I'm looking at the time and I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. So then I'm like, no, I'm not going back out there. I'm just going to sit here in the kitchen at the island and I'm going to watch her through the window. Make sure she's fine. So I open my magazine again, right? Paragraphs or whatever. So finally I look up. She is running around the pool doing laps. What the fuck? I looked it up and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, she's running around the pool doing laps. I'm not going to shock and awe. 80-year-old woman is doing laps around the pool. I'm like, oh my God. If she falls in that pool, I'm going to have to run my ass out there, jump in the pool and get her. I close my magazine and I start watching her. Just like, I'm shocked. She ran around that pool 15 times. Her 15th lap, she stops. And I'm expecting her to be huffing and puffing, right? Nope. She wasn't even breathing hard. She just stops and then she slowly walks around and she goes and sits on the back covered porch. Next thing I see, I was about to text my mom and say, Mother, this 89, 88, 89, see, I can't remember, woman is literally running laps around this pool. I couldn't even do that. What the? Then, I was about to grab my phone and text my mom, but then I was like, no, what else is she going to do? I can't be on my phone right now. So then she sits on that bench. Next thing I see, she's sitting on the bench. La la ta ti da. La ti da, la ti da, la ti da, la ti do, 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 and then lo, lo. Okay, I can't raise my leg that high. Are you kidding me right now? But this girl, oh my God, her leg came up to her ear and back down, and I'm like. Oh, of course we can't record either on our phone. That's another policy. But I wanted to record her so bad and be like, look what this amazing elderly woman is doing. Yeah, I can't. Made that shit up. I can't raise my leg that high. Shit. The 15 minutes, my shift was over, right? So I go to the logbook to finish my information. How the day went, what she ate, what medications, all that stuff. I'm just closing the logbook. And you have to go to the phone to log out. She comes in and she goes, your shift is over. Why are you still here? At this point, I didn't even care that she's being a hateful hag to me. I was just still in shock. How she was like lifting her legs like this. And they would literally come to her ear and back down. And then she lifted her knees up to her chest and lift her legs straight up and they'd be like right here by her nose. I said, yes, Missy, I need to use your telephone to log out so I can leave, which I'm sure that you're going to enjoy your time alone. And she said, yes, I will. And so I was getting the phone to log out, And as I was dialing my personal identification number and the phone to log out, she's standing there watching me. I said, you know what? I just want to let you know that I was watching you exercise out there and wow. I'm really, really, really impressed. I said, that is amazing. That's amazing of you that you do that. She goes, yeah, it must be amazing because I know fat people can't do that. I was like, bite your tongue, Kristen. Shut the fuck up. Bite your tongue. Shut the hell up. You're leaving. Just go. I logged out. My back was to her. I put the phone down. And I just started, I was like, so I was laughing. I turned around. I said, you know what? You're exactly correct. You're exactly correct. And that's why I'm amazed. Because my fat ass couldn't do that. And she goes, yeah, I know you can't. And she goes, you can leave now. And I was like, I'm going. And so I went there. I was still chuckling to myself. So I went and got to get my bag and purse. And then she goes, I'm expecting I won't be seeing you tomorrow. And if I do have to see you tomorrow, I want you to bring your own lunch because I don't want you stealing my food because you look like the type that would steal food. I'm still chuckling to myself. Like I wasn't even I was just laughing. So then I said, yes, ma'am. So I got my purse and bag and I'm walking out and she's like right on my tail, like right behind me. I opened the door and yeah, I was scheduled with her for the next 4 months. Every day. But my boss also said, after your first shift, let me know. If you can't deal with it, I will remove you and put someone else on. Or try and find someone else because no one would do it. I said, okay. I said, it was a pleasure meeting you and I will see you tomorrow. She goes, well, I hope not. And so as I was walking out the door and I said, okay, bye, I love you. And as she was shutting the screen, she opened it again. She goes, did you say you love me? I said, yes, I love you. Bye. Have a good day. I walked off and I was chuckling to myself. And then she goes, I doubt that. And she slams the She slams a freaking screen heavy ass door and then she slams her door and she locks it. But that was my first experience, first day working with her. Anyways, I went back and I called my boss on the way home and I told her about the whole day. And she was like, I'm so sorry she got in your face and screamed at you and was calling you names and putting you down. She goes, I already know you're going to tell me you're not going back, right? I said, nope, keep me on for the 4 months. I'm doing it. I said, I'm good. She was like, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, I'm good. I'll work with her. She goes, oh my God, Kristen, you're a lifesaver. She goes, I have been so stressed. Nobody will take this job, this shift on with her. And I've been having to do it. And I'm the owner of the company and I can't leave, the company to go do that. Cause she's like, anyway, yeah, I worked with this woman for 4 straight months.